Welcome back to ChatterBeans. I'm Isaac Kong, and this is our Season 3 finale. Today's guest brings a lifetime of perspective. I'm joined by a good friend, James Banerjee, who at 72 years old reflects on a life that's taken him from India to the UK at just 13, through decades in the airline industry, raising a family, living in Amsterdam, and navigating health, fitness, and aging. This conversation is about what you learn when you've lived a long life, the mistakes, the growth, and the joy, and what really matters in the end. So grab a coffee, settle in, and enjoy this final episode of Season 3 of ChatterBeans. James, welcome to ChatterBeans. You are the final guest of Season 3. How exciting. You all right?
Yes, I'm very well, thank you.
Good.
Thank you for having me.
No, you're welcome. Thank you for coming. I wanted you on the podcast probably, since the beginning actually, which had been over a year since this podcast started, because you have had an incredible life, I think. We've spoken many times. We know each other from work, where we worked together for a couple of years. And you tell me these stories, and I think it really deserves to be out there from your 72 years of life. So tell us where it all started, because you came across to the UK at a very young age, and you've got quite an interesting journey.
Yeah, I was born in India, and we left India when I was 13, and we came on a cruise ship and in those days, cruise ships looked very different to how they do now. You've seen the picture.
You just showed me a picture.
And so we came from what was then called Mumbai, to Djibouti, and then from Djibouti to Port Said, but we had to go through the Suez Canal, and we got stuck in the Suez Canal because of the Six-Day War that took place in 1967, and the canal was closed immediately after we had gone through. So we were the last ship to go through
That's
Suez
incredible.
Canal, but we were stuck there for a few weeks at least. I recall that well.
Yeah.
And the Suez Canal was really interesting because it was, as I was telling you earlier, it wasn't very wide. It's really quite narrow, and you
Yeah.
can see both sides, and you see people walking on either side of the canal, and there you are in this huge ship, and there they are walking on either side. It's really weird. And then we came to Port Said, and in India in those days you didn't have any television, so we didn't know anything about TVs or TV aerials or anything. We came into Port Said, and the place was covered in TV aerials. And
You're like, what are these?
I remember asking people, what are those? And they said they're TV aerials. So what's a TV aerial? I mean, I
That's
had
incredible.
no idea. So yeah, that's innocence for you, isn't it? That you
Yeah.
have no idea what
God, imagine
life
that
is
life
about.
now,
Yeah.
not knowing what a TV is. God, we're far from that.
Well, I suppose kids nowadays would have the same thing because everything
Yeah.
is streamed, so you don't have
That's
the
true.
TV.
That's true. We're back there, yeah.
Yes, everything comes back in a circle. Yeah, and then we crossed the Mediterranean, and the Mediterranean sounds so lovely and sunny
Yeah,
and
it
warm
does, yeah.
and beautiful beaches, right? It wasn't. Oh my God, was it choppy?
Was it?
And did I throw up? Oh, the
Oh,
number of times.
no.
And then one day, it was really, really choppy, and I think I was looking for my mum or something, and I went upstairs onto the deck. Nobody was on the deck. Big waves were washing the deck, and I thought somebody hit me from the back, but it was a wave that hit me and knocked me down, and I could have been swept away.
You're,
When I think about it
yeah.
now, and
I'm just picturing the Titanic.
I often think about this scene because I just
Yes.
think I could have been swept away, and nobody would have known because they all hunkered downstairs.
You would have just disappeared off the boat.
Yeah, exactly.
So how long did that journey take from when you left India to arriving in the UK?
Just short of 2 months, I think.
That's amazing.
Well, we came into Marseille,
Yeah.
and we passed Mount Etna, and I knew what a volcano was because I'd learned about volcanoes in school. And then we saw the smoke coming out of Mount Etna because we passed it. And I remember people, I was only a kid,
Yeah.
but the adults were all sort of fascinated by this. And then we came into Marseille, which is it's such a coincidence because Felice's brother, Felice, my wife, her brother lives in Marseille,
Oh wow.
and Lisa, my daughter, lives in Aix-en-Provence, which is just
Yeah.
down the road from Marseille, and we always
Kind of
fly
full
into
circle.
Marseille
Yeah.
these days to go to Aix. So yeah, so
Strange. So you came across because your dad was in.
my dad was in the Secret Service,
Yeah.
and so yeah, there were a lot of
So it was all
complications, and
approved. You came across.
we came across, and
Yeah.
I remember going because my dad was here first,
Yeah.
and then because of all the passport things so that we
Yeah.
couldn't get passports from Indian passports for us, they gave one to him, and all this. But there were a lot of
Yeah.
political going backwards and forwards.
Yeah.
But I remember going to the American Express office with my mum to get our tickets sorted and everything,
In
and
India.
in India, in Calcutta, and then we got on this train to go to Bombay to
Yeah.
get the ship to come here, and then we crossed the English Channel where I threw up again, and we arrived in Victoria from Dover, I think, and then I remember that evening, my dad took us to Piccadilly Circus on the first evening we were here. Then the lights were just amazing. I mean, for a 13-year-old kid who'd really lived in almost rural India
India. Yeah.
to come to the bright lights of London, and they couldn't have been brighter.
What was it like? What was that feeling? Do you remember it?
It was really dazzling. You
Yeah.
just thought it was like going to, probably going to like the Christmas lights in Blenheim Palace or something. It was very dazzling.
When I first went to Hong Kong to meet Oscar's family, and I remember standing. You've been there, I think,
Yeah,
Victoria Harbour.
yeah,
And I got so emotional because for a year I'd for many years I'd seen Hong Kong, but for that last year particularly, I was so invested in Hong Kong, looking at it, like picturing myself there almost. But I suppose it's slightly different that you didn't know. I suppose you'd known about it, but not done that much research. It was different times. But I'd watched videos. And then when I was standing there, it was the sights, the smells, the lights. It was like
yeah,
I got
yeah.
so emotional because it was so overwhelming. And Oscar was like, "Are you all right?" It's like, yeah,
So you sort of can identify with that
yeah,
feeling
yeah,
of the newness of a place,
exactly. Yeah,
you know.
it was
Uh,
exactly that. Yeah,
and yeah, well, I couldn't have done any research. One, I was too young. Two, we had no internet.
yeah, very different time.
So very, very different times. Though my dad sent us, but it had nothing to do with Piccadilly Circus. But I remember a kid in school, and they had some relatives in the UK, and they had sent them this concertina thing of postcards,
Oh
that
yeah,
were attached to
yeah.
each other, and I thought they were so fab. So I'd asked my dad to send us send us something like that, but he didn't. He sent instead a proper coffee table book on English castles, and I remember the cover was Corfe Castle.
Right.
We were only there recently, Felice and I, and yeah, and I said to Felice, I remember this from the book.
That's crazy. That's
But
crazy.
yeah, so it didn't prepare me for the UK at all.
No.
Because the next morning we woke up and we all rushed to the window to see what it was
Yeah,
like,
of course.
right? And it was dark. We lived in a cul-de-sac, and there was a church and a graveyard in front of the church. This is March, none of the trees had any leaves on
No.
them. It was the church steeple was grey.
Thinking, where am I?
This was like a scene out of the Addams Family. And I thought, what are we doing here? And where I came from, it was
Yeah, of
sunshine every day.
course.
We got up in the morning and we had sunshine.
So those first few months, was it difficult to adjust? Or did you just kind of think, right, this is our new life, this is kind of we just need to
I don't, I think as a 13-year-old, you get into it pretty
you
quickly.
just adapt, don't you?
Yeah, you don't think about it so much,
Yeah.
but things stay with you. Like this was the Easter holidays, so we had to go to school after the Easter holidays, and it snowed that year.
Really?
The first day I was going to go to school, so I'd never seen snow in my life before. So you open the door and you think, "Oh wow, it's so beautiful,"
Yeah.
till you step on it. You go,
Till it starts to wash away, and it's
well, you fall immediately,
yeah.
don't you? Because you have no idea what it's going to be
How
like.
interesting.
I fell all the way. I walked to school, but I fell all the way there. And do you think one single person would have said, "Are you all right?" Nobody cared at all. This was London. Nobody cared.
Exactly.
I fell, I got up, I fell. By the time I got to school,
Oh,
I
must have been
my
wet.
my trousers were all wet and it was miserable.
Yeah.
And I hated snow for so long
Did you?
after.
Yeah, I think it's nice-ish as a kid, and then you grow up and think, "Mm, no, it's not so nice."
Well, looking at it is nice, but that's
Yeah,
where
exactly.
I still don't really like snow. And I remember going skiing for the first time and thinking, what am I doing? I hate this.
I don't get ski holidays. It's just the same thing all the time. Just maybe a
Up,
different mountain.
down again,
Up and
up,
down.
down.
Oh, maybe I don't get it. So, how was school and things like that? Was it very,
Remarkably, school was it was really easy.
was
People
it?
just because also I didn't have an Indian accent.
Ah,
I went
okay.
to an American school, but I didn't have an American accent either. Probably sort of a mid-Atlantic
Yeah.
accent of sorts. So people didn't really
Didn't,
treat me any
yeah.
differently. I didn't, there was no racial
No,
discrimination or anything. Though all the boys were white,
I was
I
going to
was
say,
probably the
yeah.
only dark-skinned kid there, and they were pretty good, I
Yeah.
think. I remember Patrick O'Keefe telling me about the European. What was it called then? It wasn't the European Union, the EEC. It was called then,
Yes.
and that De Gaulle didn't want us in. Well, he'd been really happy now,
Exactly.
and um, and I didn't know anything about Europe, let alone
Yeah.
the EEC.
So that's a lot of learning to do as a teenager, right?
A lot of
Steep
things
learning
come your
curve.
way, yeah.
Yeah.
Princess Anne's wedding, we all had to watch it in school. It was
Really?
a black and white TV. I mean, there was no color in those
Yeah.
days. I remember watching that wedding. And I remember her sleeves having pearls on them or something. They were sort of ridged.
Did you feel like, oh wow, I'm like British. I'm like this is proper like England.
No, I didn't feel anything about
No.
nationality or belonging.
Okay.
It wasn't a question. It didn't feel
Didn't
odd
fade.
and
Yeah.
it didn't feel
Yeah.
right or didn't feel wrong. Do you know?
Yeah.
It just it
Did
just
you
felt.
did you have regrets of, I suppose not regrets, but did you miss things about India?
No, I don't think I did.
No.
I don't think I missed anything about India
No.
at all. You
And
see,
have you been back?
yeah, yeah. I've been back. I've been back several times. I went back once a long time ago, and then I didn't go for ages. And then Lisa, our older daughter, she said when she was, we said to her when she was 10, we would go to India.
Mm.
When she was 14, we hadn't been, and she said, if we're not going to India, then I'm going to go by myself the moment I'm 18.
Wow.
So we thought we better do this. So we went back together,
Oh, nice.
and that was nice. That was it was a different experience,
Of
but it was.
course.
But before that, Felice and I went. After we got married, we went to India
Did you?
and to my school as well. And so yeah, that was quite a nice trip.
Yeah.
But we went to India for a month. I couldn't wait to get back. But that goes
It's on
for
my list.
anywhere, really.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean, do you
true.
know what I mean? A month is
You
a
want your
long
home
time.
comforts. You want to
Yeah.
come back. Yeah. So school days have passed. You move into your kind of first job, and what did you do?
My first job was working in the at the Inland Revenue in Somerset House. And so when Somerset House comes up for all exhibitions and
Yeah.
things on television and the ice rink, and it's not the Inland Revenue anymore,
No.
or HMRC as it's called now. And I keep saying to Felice, I used to work there. She said, yeah, I know.
We get it.
But
And how
yeah,
old were you then?
um, well, I left school at 15,
Wow.
right? And I recall Mr. Connolly, our head teacher, saying, "I don't think it's the right decision." Anyway, did. And
Yeah.
and I went to day release classes because I was too young. Um, and then I left the Inland Revenue pretty soon after that and went and worked for BOAC, the predecessor of British Airways.
Mm.
And then from there, I went to their reservations center and I worked there. And by this time, by the time I was 7 years later, I was working for, yeah, 7 years later, I was working for BOAC and then British Airways as it
Yeah.
became. Um, Time flies, that's a short period of time,
Yeah.
really, but you grow up so quickly in that time,
Yeah.
Um, and then I worked for Singapore Airlines. And then Singapore Airlines used to send us to Singapore twice a year, every year for 2 weeks on courses.
Did they?
So you just had a holiday
So you know
to,
Singapore well.
well, it's changed a lot, but I knew Singapore like the back of my hand.
Yeah.
It was just, we just went there and got off. It was like going from a hometown to hometown
Yeah,
sort
yeah,
of
yeah.
thing.
And
So
you'd spent pretty much all your career, your main part of your first job, your first life,
it's my first life, yeah.
working in airlines, right?
Yes, I've spent nearly all my
Yeah.
working life in airlines,
Some of the
really.
stories I remember you telling me is writing the tickets manually, calling up and booking someone a seat. Just tell
Yeah.
us about that.
So, so when I worked in the reservations office, people would ring.
Where was the
So
office?
for Singapore Airlines, it was in Chiswick,
Yeah.
but for British Airways, it was in the West London Air Terminal. And a bomb went off there. The IRA bomb went off there in 1974, I think, or around then, 73, 74. And we were in the building, and the alarms kept going, intermittent alarms throughout the day.
Yeah.
So that's just a warning. But when it's continuous, you had to leave the building. And then all of a sudden in the afternoon, the continuous bell went and we all had to go. But we were so, London in those days were always under threat
Yeah.
from bomb threats. Grab my coat, put it on, and then we all had to, we couldn't take the lift. We had to come down this sort of a ramp, and it was covered, it was sort of surrounded with
Yeah.
glass panels. And then the bomb went off under us, and all the glass just shattered down. It was like crystals falling out of the air. I only had it's like,
So this is
cut
your
in my arm.
second near miss at death.
Yeah.
The boat and now the bomb. Wow.
And the hotel opposite us was, they were so kind. They gave us, mind you, we made good use of it.
Yeah.
And we went and then they gave us brandy and they gave us.
For the shock. So they're writing the tickets.
So then people would call and the BOAC, British Airways as it was called then, they were a bit more automated.
Yeah.
Where you had like a telex roll and you
Right.
typed things in. But Singapore Airlines was still manual. So people would call, you'd have this telephone and you'd have this sort of thing to rest on your shoulder. So you had this there and then you wrote down the reservation they wanted.
Was anyone
So,
smoking at the time?
yeah, people. Well, did I smoke then? I did smoke then.
I can
And
just
you'd
imagine.
have your coffee cup, your chocolate matchsticks, and all this around your desk, and you'd write down. Somebody'd say, "Oh, I'd like to go to Singapore on the 3rd of July," and you'd go SQ313, and you'd write out this thing, then send that thing to the telex room, and they would telex it to Singapore. Confirmation would come back, and if you were on calling back duty, then you would call the customer back to confirm it. And
That's incredible.
I know it took so long to make a book.
Just to know you've got your flight.
And then when I moved to the ticket office,
Yeah.
we wrote out every ticket by hand.
And
So
sent it
you'd,
to them.
and then, well, they'd be there most
Right.
of the time. They'd be at the desk. So you'd write out a ticket, London, Singapore, London, and you'd take the money.
And do you know, so was this the day, were the tickets always the same? Did they always look like that?
Like
That rectangle?
yeah, a rectangle, like a
Because
booklet.
I was shocked. We've just flown a few months ago to Copenhagen, and Ryanair now issue it as a receipt. There's no more of these rectangle tickets. It's literally like a normal receipt you'd get in a shop with a barcode on it.
Oh, right.
Why? What a tradition of those typical tickets gone.
So are you talking about boarding cards? Are you talking about
I'm talking about boarding cards.
the tickets were similar to the boarding cards, but they came in a little booklet.
Did they?
So
Ah.
each coupon they tore off.
Oh, I see.
For when you went to check in, they tear off the London Singapore.
And when would you get your
coupon one.
boarding card?
And then they would give you a boarding card in exchange for that ticket.
And that was always the rectangle.
And that well, BA still does that at the airport.
Most do. It's
Yeah.
just Ryanair trying to save money.
Which isn't a bad idea.
No,
I don't know what. Well, you can get on your thing on your phone now.
Exactly.
So yeah, we did everything manually, and then gradually everything slowly became automated.
Yeah.
And this is what I don't get about people. When they talk about, we were talking about AI earlier.
AI, yeah.
And people get so frightened about change, and I think change happens to you the whole time in your life, and it happens incrementally, so you
Yeah.
don't notice what's happening.
It's because a lot of this, and I was just discussing this on my university course earlier, it's because of the hype in the media, isn't it? AI is such a big change. AI has been around in some form for many, many, many years. We're talking about TomTom. We're talking about speaking to Alexa for years now. We've been speaking to Google and Alexa, and Siri's been around for a while. And pre that, right? There's always been automations and intelligence.
The industrial revolution. And when you think about, people are always afraid of losing jobs, right? And yet all these changes have happened and people are still employed. So I keep thinking,
we do need they call it the human in the loop. You do need the humans in the loop. Like we just will learn to adapt alongside.
Life changes, and then what you do changes.
Yeah. So going back to the airlines, I remember you telling me some stories how on like a Friday evening you'd finish work and get a ticket to New York and stuff like that.
So I've worked with a great bunch of people.
Yeah.
We were all very, very young, and we just lived for today,
Yeah.
Not
so in
that
your
we-
what, 20s?
Yeah, in my early 20s. And
Early 20s, living in London.
yeah, and we didn't do it consciously, but we just did it naturally. That we just went to work, did our work, and then, after work we'd go to a pub or
When was this? Late 70s, 80s?
mid-70s.
Mid-70s, yeah.
So off we'd go on a Friday evening, because we worked in Regent Street.
Yeah,
So
how nice.
Run down to Piccadilly Station, take the underground to Heathrow, get on a TWA flight to New York, and we'd spend the weekend in New York, and then we'd come back Monday morning, back on the on the desk, like nothing had happened.
That's amazing.
And
how much would that cost you?
well, in those days, airlines gave free tickets to other airline staff, so it didn't cost us anything. However, with TWA, if you paid $12, which was £6 in those days, $2 to the pound roughly, then you could upgrade yourself to first. So we always flew first to New York, and we had such a good time.
What a lifestyle.
It was, you'd go there, you'd try to get into Studio 54.
Yeah.
If you were lucky, I think that if there were no celebrities inside, they let you in.
Right.
And if there were, because we tried to wear the same clothes and they wouldn't let us in, right? So we couldn't figure out what the criteria was. But if you didn't get in there, you'd go to the Ice Palace, which I later discovered, I didn't know anything about this world until then, which I later discovered was a big gay club. But people say that, but then when we were there were, it wasn't just men.
Yeah, it was
You know,
everyone.
everyone was
Yeah.
there. So I don't know why it was particularly
Yeah.
gay, but
Interesting.
it was just a big disco, really.
Yeah.
It was, so that's what we did. We went and we'd also get discounts at hotels. So we'd stay at the Astoria, the Waldorf, and then we'd take a taxi to one of the, to 54, or we'd try
Yeah.
to get into Ice Palace, one of the two.
What a
And
fantastic.
yeah, life was just
Yeah.
it was very innocent, really.
Yeah. Yeah.
There was no aggression in anything we
It's a
did. It
different
was just,
time, isn't it?
yeah, very simple,
Yeah,
I think.
but how nice. And to skip forward, you then had some time in Holland.
So then, the guy from Olympic Airways, who was the sales rep for Olympic Airways, he was made the manager of Olympic Airways Amsterdam.
Yeah.
And he said to me, I used to work with his wife used to work at Singapore Airlines, so I knew him quite well. And he said to me, would you come and manage the ticket office in Amsterdam for Olympic? Now, I'd been to Amsterdam a million times because, you just went for the day to
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Amsterdam. Because we had these free tickets. We could
course.
just go whenever we wanted. So I thought, why not? You know,
Young.
everyone speaks English,
Yeah.
so thought I. And then I landed there on the 2nd of April, 1978. And as I was on the walk-a-later, the thing that goes up, I think you come to the end of it, and it said, nowadays it only says in English, but in those days it said in Dutch and English, mind the step. And I thought, what's that other bit? And then I realized, oh my God, they speak another language here. But it didn't matter because everyone spoke English
Yeah.
until you went to a birthday party or something. People were so afraid to speak English in a relaxed environment on
Why?
a one-to-one. They were afraid of making mistakes, I think. So
Oh,
I'd be
interesting.
sitting there listening to all this Dutch going on around me. I had no idea what anyone was saying.
No.
And I only went because I thought, how long can I stay in my own room? Because I didn't know anyone there.
No.
But it was people from the airlines that I'd got to know who would invite me to here and there.
Yeah.
So it slowly made a lot of friends.
Yeah.
And then one day I was in the ticket office by myself on a Saturday, and this man came in to buy a ticket. And he started in Dutch, and I said, I'm so sorry, I don't speak Dutch. Would you mind speaking in English? And he said, I can speak English, but I'm reluctant to do so. And I thought, well, if you won't speak English, then I can't help you.
Yeah.
And I said that. And he said, but look, this is the only place in the world where I can speak my own language. And, don't you think that you should be speaking my language? And I thought, yes, you're right. And I said to him, I promise you, I'll do something about it. And I kept my promise. He doesn't know. The man's probably dead now. But
Oh.
he doesn't know. But I did keep my promise. I went to a residential school for 2 weeks. And I came out speaking Dutch really slowly. I had to get the sentence in my head, then I'd deliver it, and everyone would
So
race on.
4 weeks, full time.
2 4 weeks, yeah. But I taught by nuns. And from the moment you got in, they said, Goedemorgen, komt u binnen? I thought, what are you talking about?
You will learn.
And you learn so fast.
Yeah. And so, how long did you spend in Amsterdam?
So in total, in Amsterdam, I was there for 10 years. But in total, I spent 22 years in Holland. So I was there, then 6 years later, I came back. But then I found everyone else here had moved on. I had more friends in Amsterdam than I did here. So I
Yeah.
went back again.
Did you?
And then I met Felice, and then we got married, and then we had the children. And we
Yeah.
moved out of Amsterdam and lived in Breukelen, which is between Amsterdam and Utrecht.
Okay.
Brooklyn in New York is named after
see.
Breukelen in Holland. And yeah, so I spent 22 years, best part of 22
It's a long
years
time.
in Holland. Yeah, Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a long time, and I don't know if I'd want to go back there to live because it's very crowded.
It's
It's
so
a
busy, isn't it?
yeah.
I still find it one of the nicest places that I can go. I find it very relaxing in the sense of lifestyle feels quite nice.
Amsterdam
Yeah.
itself is
Yeah.
very
And
nice. Yeah,
Rotterdam as well. I liked quite a lot.
Rotterdam's newer, isn't it?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is. Yeah.
Felice's brother lives in Gouda,
Yeah.
as they say
Oh,
in
yeah.
Dutch, and that's a quieter version of Amsterdam.
Yeah.
But I think I prefer Amsterdam. If I had to live
Mm,
in Holland, I'd want
yeah.
to live in Amsterdam.
Wow. So then your adult years, you got married, as you've just said. You had your girls. You had them in Amsterdam, and then
No, we had them in
sorry,
Breukelen.
yeah, and then you came
Yeah,
across to the UK.
yeah. But before that, I did with the UK Open University. I did an MBA course
Ah,
while living and working in Holland. Um, and then I came across, I was made redundant by British Airways. By this time, I was working for British Airways. I was working for British Caledonian,
yeah.
and then BA took over BCal, and I ended up working for. So I went full circle,
Yes.
back at British Airways again. Um, and then I was managing their frequent flyer program for the France and Benelux region, and that
Mm.
was quite a good cushy number, really. So I was off to. I was in my 5 days a week. I spent one day in Belgium, one day in France, one day in the UK, and 2 days in the Netherlands.
Just
Um,
flying around.
just yeah, because I had to liaise with the marketing departments
Yeah.
in each of the countries, and then we'd hold Monaco is a big place for BA because a lot of gold members live there.
Interesting.
So we'd have a party for them once a year, and we'd fly into Nice, and then
Yeah.
I remember getting lost driving up. We had no sat nav in those days, and flying into Nice, and then getting lost up on the mountains, going to Monaco. And I remember my boss and I were traveling together, and he went and asked this man and woman up in the mountains, and like farmers, and they said, "Oh, look, Monaco, you're like 3 days away."
Oh my goodness. How amazing. So
Yeah.
the
So
MBA, what was the reason for the MBA? You wanted to challenge yourself?
well, as I said, I left school at 15,
Yeah.
and I really thought that I should do something
Yeah.
to, I obviously had the intelligence to do it, but
Yeah.
I hadn't done it. So it was and I think as a child, I was always told I was useless, and I've
Mm.
always been useless. And it's what's happened is that it stayed with me that I always, Felice often says, why do you always have to strive for more? And I'm always trying to prove to myself that I'm not useless, but not really believing it because I'm still, even at 72, I'm still walking the Ridgeway for 93 miles to somehow prove to myself that actually you can do something.
It's really interesting because on this whole season, everyone pretty much has talked about imposter syndrome or something that happened in childhood that affects the way we are. And
Yeah,
I've
yeah.
recently spoken about it on a podcast as well about my own. And it's kind of refreshing in a way to hear you at 72 talking about the same thing in a way because it's just life, I suppose. Like, but yeah, it's a shame in a way as well, isn't it? Because for this many years, you've had this
Yeah,
in your
and I
head.
think of what I advise my daughters to do, and I think they
Mm,
do well, and I have tried to do with my daughters as well, is to focus on their strengths rather than the weaknesses. And I think we do children such a disservice by, pointing out what they're not good at.
yeah,
And because it does stay with you your
yeah,
whole
it
life.
does. Yeah,
And I really think that. One thing that I would advise everyone to do is to stop focusing on the negative, even for yourself. Try to tell yourself the things you're good at, because you're good at an awful lot of
it's
things,
yeah,
and recognize that and make that the thing that stays with you rather
yeah.
than this feeling that I have that was actually a fluke.
Yeah.
I've achieved so much in life, but
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would, but I would always put it down as, yeah, I know, but
Well, it's too easy to focus on the things that we haven't achieved, or the things that we wish we'd done better at. But actually, you're right. Like when you look back, and particularly this conversation, you've done a lot. You've
well, I've had
survived
a
death
lot.
twice. Twice that you've spoken about. I'm sure there's more.
I've had a lot of time to do a lot. I am 72.
So the MBA, you've done that, which is amazing, I suppose, while working full time, and and then your career took off a bit more from there, didn't it?
So BA made me redundant. So we outsourced the executive club, as it was called. It's called the BA Club now, to an external company to run. So I was made redundant in Holland, and I then came and worked in so they paid me off in Holland, and I came and worked as a consultant in the marketing department in London,
Fantastic.
and on a day rate.
Fantastic.
And Felice's father said to me, "But hold on, they've just given you all this money to leave, and they're paying you again more." So I was getting paid more than I was getting paid as an employee
Gotta
to
love these
work
big
on the day rate.
companies.
So it was a great gig. And I did that from 95 to 90 for 2 years. And then BA was going to merge with American Airlines. It didn't happen in the end, but there was big talk. So they
Yeah.
had to let go of all their non employed people, if you
Yeah.
see what I mean,
Yeah.
or consultants
Yeah.
and things. So then I thought, what do I do now? Because I had applied in the meanwhile. I'd written over 200 applications and got about 5 interviews.
Really?
And Eurostar was one of them.
Oh wow.
And so I had an interview in Amsterdam, and I got on really well with this lady because I took a completely different approach to the interview. I thought to myself, do you know what? I can just go to an interview and ask questions.
Yeah.
But actually, I'm trying to sell myself. So I'm going to put a presentation together
Yeah.
about me.
Yeah.
And that's what I'll say, do you mind me doing this? And then I'll answer your questions.
Love that.
And she was quite bowled over by this new
I'm
approach.
sure- Bet she used it ever since.
And she was she was really took to it, and we had a nice chat, and I took her through my presentation. What I did was just take her through my CV,
Yeah.
but slide by slide.
I love
know
it.
what I mean? So then she said to me after the interview, "Do you have time for a drink afterwards?" So this was at the Sonesta Hotel in Amsterdam, and I said, "Yeah." So we had a nice chat. So I didn't really know whether I had the job or
Yeah.
not, but I had to attend a second interview in London, and I went to the second interview in London. It was at 5 o'clock in the evening. And there were two guys, an older guy and a younger guy, and they were going to interview me and ask me about my marketing experience. So I didn't really have an issue with that because I'd done marketing for so long.
Yeah.
But one of the guys was sitting there yawning. I knew immediately I hadn't got the job because
Oh.
you don't sit there and you don't.
No.
So I wrote back to this woman and said, "I know I haven't got the job, but it would have been politer if they didn't yawn at the interview
Yeah.
to let me know."
rude.
And she was so upset with them. And then she wrote me a lovely letter to say, "You will do better than this." But I didn't because I thought, what do I do now? And we had two little girls. We had a mortgage in Holland. So I became cabin crew.
Did you?
It was quite easy to get in. So I went right down to
Yeah.
to earning £11,000 a year. How do you live on that? If it wasn't for the fact that it was tax free, I think I would have had problems. And the reason it was tax free was because I was working. I'd spent less than 180 days in the UK,
I see.
and because I wasn't earning in Holland at that time, because I said, I asked them, if I become redundant again, would I get the dole here? And they said, "No, you don't work here, and you're not Dutch either." So I thought, okay, then I don't pay any tax. Surely.
Exactly.
They said no. So that's why the job was tax-free, or the salary was tax-free. So I became cabin crew.
How was that?
Oh, it was really tough,
How long did you do
actually.
it for?
I did it for a year, just under a year.
Wow.
But it was quite a tough job.
Long
Not
haul, short haul?
long haul,
Right.
but it wasn't for the job itself was simple, right? I
Mm.
mean, what does it take to give somebody a meal? But the crossing the time zones all the time.
Were
Oh,
you
that was
exhausted?
you were always exhausted. I
Really?
don't know how they do it. I don't
No, I
know
don't know either.
how they do it for as a career. It's
And I think now they mainly do a mix, don't they, of long and short haul together. I don't think there's a separation anymore.
yeah, there used to be a clear
Yeah.
separation before.
You'd have proper rest days and stuff, but I think now you
Well,
do a long haul followed by a
yeah,
quick.
when I was there, you still had nicer rest because the minimums are really tiring, right? So the minimum for New York now, I think, is 24 hours. You go there, you spend a night, and you have to fly back the next day. Whereas in my time, you had longer time. So
Yeah.
when we went to Barbados, we spent like 3 days there before we got back, and
Fantastic.
the Caribbean. So it was, in that way, it was quite
Yeah.
nice, but
Suppose you were away from home and
you're always away from home, and I
yeah.
really miss the children and
Yeah.
and Felice, and we just it
Didn't
wasn't
work.
great.
No.
It wasn't.
So did
But
you then get back into
so
marketing?
so I was then full time as a full time employee.
Ah,
I could apply for jobs again, and then a job came up in the communications department, internal communications department for the cabin services for
yeah.
communicating to crew. So I applied for that. I got that. And then I got back into the swing of things, and I
Yeah.
became the communications manager for that department. And then I did Heathrow Communications, T5, building of T5.
Fantastic.
From there, I went on to engineering, from engineering to cargo, and then cargo. When I was in cargo, Brasheris and Iberia came under the same roof, and they merged the cargo divisions. So I became the communications manager for Iberia and BA cargo. So yeah, so I
That was
took
your
a
career, yeah.
so, and that before, when I was at Heathrow, I did a degree in journalism to sort of solidify.
Did you?
Uh,
Yeah, it's always nice.
so yeah, so
And then you retired from that life, I suppose, and that's when we met more recently.
so no, then I retired from that,
Yeah.
and then I spent just under a year retired, and it was so boring.
Was it?
Well, it was boring, and it was also a bit depressing, really, because you'd wake up in the morning and nobody needed you. You know, when I was working at BA, I'd get in the car and I'd have meetings and on
Yeah.
the way to work.
Yeah, it's
Right?
quite exciting, I
Yeah, yeah.
suppose.
I wouldn't call
I mean,
it
at the
exciting.
time, obviously exhausting and
It
like,
was a
oh, another
job.
meeting, but
And while I was there, after the cargo job, then the A380 came in. You know,
right.
they'd retired Concorde, and the A380 came in, and that
Mm.
was the new flagship of the company. So I managed the in-flight service development department, which meant that because the A380 was on two levels, we
Yeah.
had to change the way the service was
Yeah.
delivered. Um, so my team developed the service so catering determined what the food was,
Yeah.
and then my team determined how we were going to
How interesting.
how cabin crew would deliver that meal. So
Mm.
having been crew really helped in that because
I
I
think
knew
I'm
what it
flying
felt.
on an A380
Yeah,
to
it's
San Fran very soon.
on BA.
Yes, on BA.
Um,
It must be an A380, right? I'm
I
sitting
think it
upstairs
is. Yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
It'll be
Well,
my first time. I'm excited.
yeah, it's a nice aircraft, really quiet,
Mm.
but the service has to be delivered differently
Yeah.
because of the nature of the aircraft.
Nice.
So I did that before I retired
Yeah.
completely, and then I got bored after I retired, and then I went and worked for this startup that my brother had invested in on the south coast. but it became a full-time job, and I hadn't retired to do a full-time job, so I left them,
Yeah.
and then got bored again, and this job came up in Oxford City Council for 3 days a week
Perfect.
doing internal communications. Perfect.
Yeah.
It was, I didn't
And you
need,
live close to Oxford as well, right?
yeah,
So,
I live, on the bus it's an hour,
yeah,
but by car it's half an hour.
perfect.
And this wasn't a management role. It was just, well, they didn't have internal
No.
communications, so it was just introducing it.
Yeah.
And I was only saying to Mish, who was my boss at the time in Oxford, the other day, that when I first got there, I had all these ideas. I knew what
Yeah.
had to
Yeah.
be done,
Yeah.
but then I had to do it myself. I didn't have a team to do it for me.
Exactly.
It was, and I
different.
found that a bit tough, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
At first, I thought, what do I do?
Yeah. Exactly. And that's when we met, because I did some consulting for Oxford for a couple of years,
Yeah.
which feels almost like a lifetime ago. I mean, by the time this episode goes out, it will be pretty much 4 years.
4?
Yes.
Oh, I thought it was 2.
No. I started in
Wow.
February 22. So it's just incredible, because we worked together for 2 years, and I've not been there for pretty much 2 years, and we're still kept in touch. So thinking about all of your stories, your life, you've done amazing things. Even personally, you've run marathons, you've walked the Ridgeway, like you've done some incredible things. Just tell us what you can deadlift at the moment.
I can do 100 kilos.
Like, honestly, the fittest person. I think it just shows that when you put your mind to something, you can really achieve it. Like,
I
your
think so
fitness is a
too.
big thing, right?
Fitness is big for me. It's just become very big for me. I've always liked physical
Yeah.
exercise. As a child, I was very shy as well,
Yeah.
and as a result, that held me back. And being told you're not good enough. I remember during the Duke of Edinburgh
Oh, yeah.
award thing, and Mr. Williams saying, "Banerjee, get your arms out. You've got arms like a monkey. Use them." and and always being told you're not doing something right
Yeah.
held me back. But when I, once I'd become free,
Yeah.
free of the people telling me what to do or not to do.
Yeah.
When I got to Amsterdam, I joined a rowing club, and so I rowed there. I
Wow.
played squash there, so I did
It's always been there.
Yeah. So
Really.
when the girls came, then I focused on them completely and
Yeah.
stopped.
Yeah.
And then when I came back to the UK, I started running. I needed to, because I had a huge belly, and I had just let myself go,
Yeah.
and I had to pull it all back.
Yeah.
And then I had a heart attack in 2008. But to be honest with you, I'm fitter now than I was before the heart attack.
Sometimes gives you a wake up call, I suppose.
Well, people say that,
So,
but
yeah,
it didn't.
it didn't.
Really.
Fine.
That heart attack had made no impression on me at
Fine.
all. I was running before it.
Yeah.
So I'd run New York, I'd run Chicago, I'd run London, and then I ran Amsterdam the same year in 2008. I did London and Amsterdam. And 2 weeks after running Amsterdam, I had the heart attack. So I could have had it during the marathon,
Goodness. Yeah.
and then they showed me a video of them putting the stent in.
Yeah.
My artery was literally like a thread going
Really?
down, and they put the stent in, and it opened up like a straw. It was amazing.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Well, it's good that you've kept the fitness going, because I think it really is important as you get older to weight train, particularly, and keep the muscles and
I
keep
see
healthy.
people my age walking so slowly, and the lights dimmed in their eyes. I have to say, I do look in the mirror and think, what happened? I do this so often. I think, how? When did it happen? But
Well, it's your
did.
mindset, because your mindset clearly isn't that of I would say, a typical 72-year-old. And
No,
I
but
don't get that. That energy is still like you've got
No,
so
but
much.
when I look in the mirror, I think, what happened to that face?
No. So thinking about
Fighting
everything.
gravity.
Mine's only held up by Botox. Thinking about everything, what is one life lesson or bit of advice that you'd love to share? I mean, you did touch on some earlier, but is there anything that
I
really
think the
stands out?
one thing I would say is I would say to everyone, focus on what you're good at, because all the things you're bad at, you can recognize them and you can, lament on them, but they're
Yeah.
not going to get you any further.
No.
So focus on what you're good at and sell that to the world, and also people aren't really, the kindest people aren't really interested in your woes.
No.
So,
Exactly.
and you'll find you feel better if you
Yeah.
wake up and smile and say, do you know what? I'm really good at this.
I love that. I love that. Our tradition on this podcast is to talk a little bit about coffee. Do you like coffee?
I drink coffee every day.
Do you drink a lot?
No, I drink 2 cups
2
every
cups.
morning.
Fine. What is it? What's your go-to coffee? Black coffee?
It's always black coffee. And the reason it is, I was about 65 when my personal trainer said to me, I was taking milk in my coffee, and he said, James, you're an adult now. And it stayed with me. And he doesn't recall having said that to me. And
That's hilarious.
and it stayed with me. And I stopped taking milk
Fantastic.
almost immediately. But I haven't taken, I'm also not allergic, intolerant to
I see.
lactose.
I see.
But even oat milk or
Yeah.
anything, I just don't take it. And now
don't
I've
like-
got used to it. But I like it. I like black coffee.
Nice. And if you could have coffee with anyone, dead or alive, who would it be? Why? And what do you want to chat about?
This is really weird, but I would like to have coffee with James Lovell. He
Who's
was an
James?
astronaut.
Okay.
And there are 2 reasons.
What is it
for
about
that.
James?
There's 2 reasons for that. One is I'd like to know about what it's like to be an astronaut and being out in space, and it does fascinate me.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Me too.
But the other thing is that I have always thought that if I could change my name to anything, I'd change it to Lovell, because I can do a great signature with J. Lovell.
That is so random, but I love it.
It is random,
I love all
but it
it.
is true.
One final main question before we come on to the quick fire round to wrap this up. When do you feel most like yourself?
Like myself, what does that mean? What do people mean when they say feel like yourself? I am myself. I am who
When
I
do you feel
am.
happiest?
When I feel happiest. Nowadays,
Most
if I'm
relaxed?
honest, with my grandchildren and my children,
Yeah. You talk about them with such passion.
I have to say, seeing them happy
Yeah.
makes me really happy.
Yeah.
Seeing them sad, even the little one, Lisa was saying, she's 1 year old, and that she's cried a lot in the creche. Oh, it breaks my heart.
Yeah.
So I am totally invested
Yeah.
in my children and grandchildren.
And I find that amazing because although they're in different parts of the world, one lives in France, right? And you spend so much time back and forth. And every time I contact you, you're either in Amsterdam or you're in France. You never seem to stay put. And
My 3 countries.
yeah,
Yeah.
that's amazing. What does the future look like for you? However long you may have left, and I say that because we talk about this quite often as a little bit of a joke. But
Well,
what do you want to? Is there
I
anything
am.
more?
I suppose I mean, you have to be realistic, and I am in the last quarter, in the autumn of my life, aren't I? And that is just reality. What does the future look like? I hope that I continue to be healthy and mobile,
Mm,
and and agile in my thinking,
yes.
because I think that one thing, it's not just about not being having Alzheimer's or being demented. Even if you escape that, often I think people of my age sort of get set in their way of thinking, and and not they find new ideas challenging.
Yes.
And I think my girls keep me on my toes, because they do challenge me if I and I
Yeah.
come out with something and they say, really? and then we have a discussion, and it opens my eyes. So I hope I keep that agility and that
Yeah.
acceptance of change, because life does change.
I really love that, and I've always had that sense from you. I mean, we obviously have our jokes and things, but you are open to things and to change. And just earlier, I thought my plants were dying, and you opened up ChatGPT and took a picture and asked it. Which is just incredible, because even my dad, who is a little bit younger than you, wouldn't know what to do. And I just think if you can stay ahead and stay on top of these things, like you're as young as you feel, as you're old as you feel, I suppose. But I really
Yeah.
like that energy that you've got.
I think if you can live on this planet, you've got to invest in it completely,
Yeah.
haven't you?
Oh yeah,
What's the point
exactly.
otherwise?
And things change.
Yeah.
These people that talk about, oh, it never used to be like this. It's even similar to, like, I haven't spoken about it on this podcast for a while, but Oscar was in a show and people came back to see this remake of Starlight Express, but still talking about the one from 40 years ago, going, oh, well, it wasn't like that before. No, because things move on.
Yeah,
Like, things
life
change,
changes. When I was 5, we were riding around in a rickshaw. I'm driving a car now. Things change. You can't just stay back there.
James, it's time for the quick fire round.
Okay.
Are you ready?
Yeah.
First thing you do in the
I'm all
morning.
ready. I get up and I come downstairs. I get myself a cup of coffee and I do my Duolingo. I do my Wordle, my connections, and Tradle. Those are 4 things.
What is Tradle?
Tradle. You've got to guess which country, and they give you a grid of all their exports.
Fantastic.
And tell you what their export turnover is, and you've got to figure out which country it is.
Well, this is how your mind is so agile.
I do that with Sophie's partner, Adam.
Yeah,
the 2 of us do
that's
that
really
together.
nice.
But I want to introduce guitar into it again, because I haven't done guitaring for a while. So I want to learn to play the guitar. So that's coming back in.
Yeah, maybe not first thing in the morning, because you're wakefulness.
No. Well, our house is the way it's
True.
designed. She would never hear me.
I'm sure. If you were to pack a bag right now, where would you be going?
I am going home, because I have spent my life flying around this planet. Which I never expected to do as a child. I didn't even know the shape of Holland, right, when I left India.
Yeah.
And I don't like traveling.
You don't?
No, I would.
So you just want to be at home?
I would, yeah.
Nice.
I'd be at home.
One thing that always lifts your mood?
I always get excited about opportunity, right?
Yeah.
So if something is happening, then I think, oh, what if? How could I do something? How could I make this better?
Yeah.
So, and when something, doesn't come up, I try to create an opportunity, like that travel thing I told you about. I mean, even if it doesn't take off,
it's good to keep your mind going.
Fantasize and create this whole thing in my mind while I'm walking or running.
I love it. Favorite way to spend your day off? Well, I suppose every day's a day off now.
Every day. Life is a day off nowadays. So what do I do nowadays? I go to the gym. I go to my allotment, where I have grown amazing things this year. It was my first year in the allotment. I go running, or if I'm not running, I walk. If I'm walking, I run.
Fantastic.
So those are the things I do. I like doing.
Love it. You've travelled, as you've just said, a lot. But where's your favourite place that you've been to in the world?
My favourite
Somewhere
place.
that comes to mind often.
The Seychelles, I think.
Really? How come?
It's just the peace and the tranquility and the clear waters and just relaxing. So if I'm thinking of relaxing, that's where I'd go. And if I'm thinking of food, I'd go to Italy. And if I'm thinking of a nice sort of cultural visit, I'd go to Spain.
Wow. What a great answer.
Really?
Yeah. I like that you're thinking about it from different thought processes. If you could time travel, would you go forwards or backwards?
I'd go forwards.
To when?
Well, I don't know, because everything changes so much. I mean, AI now, if I went backwards, I'd never know AI. Why would you go back? You've seen it already.
I find this is why I wanted you on this podcast. 72 years of life, like you have seen masses of change. Like even in my 34 years, there's been big change in the way we do things, like toys and technology.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you'd want to go forwards and see what's coming next.
Yeah, because I think you've seen the past.
Yeah.
The thing is though, I do miss my youth. And I think I wish I could go there again. But
I wish everyone could experience our youths, like our time, like our younger days, because whether it's your younger days or mine, they will never be like they are now.
yeah, but if you went back, they wouldn't be like they were then.
No,
do you know
it's
what I
true.
mean?
It's
And
true.
I think that I miss my youth. I lament the passing of my youth, because as I said earlier, when I look in the mirror and I think I had hair, my skin was taut. I didn't look the way I look now.
Yeah.
But I think that that is the hardest bit in life. I think accepting aging, because somehow you don't want to be old.
No.
right? But you are old.
And there's a thing, isn't there? Like the older you get, the more years you have as baggage. So it feels like it's getting faster because there's more memories than ever.
Yeah.
And
things move on.
I do get sad about that, actually. I think I do fear slightly getting older.
And as you get older, you lose people.
Yeah.
As other people will lose me at some point.
Yeah.
And you lose people, and that is really hard to take when you've been close to people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it takes a long, long time.
Yeah. For
But
sure.
the great thing about being old, I think, is that you can pass on things to other people. You
Yeah.
you can make a difference to the world
Yeah.
still.
Yeah.
And
And you are to your girls and
and I want to
Your family.
also do that in the community, because I am looking into mentoring younger people, because I think we waste so much talent in this country, because not just in the world, but I only have my time here.
Yeah.
And I just think that when I see young people wasting their abilities and wasting their opportunities, I want to inspire people to do more with their lives. So I'm going to try and do something about that.
I love that. Final question. What's the small amount of joy that you've experienced recently?
Small amount of joy.
I think it was your walk, wasn't it? Not that I want to put words in your mouth.
Completing the Ridgeway,
So it's 93 miles?
93 miles.
Over how many
was-
days?
4 days. But actually, it was a bit more than that. But because I got lost at one point. But it doesn't count.
We don't count that,
Because
exactly.
the Ridgeway is only that
Yeah.
long, right? The fact that you went round it twice.
I mean,
that
that
gave me
is-
immense joy.
And you did it on your own.
I did it on my own. But I like walking on my
Mm.
own because it's very meditative.
Yeah.
Walking with someone else for 4 days, all day long, it wasn't all day long, but still,
Yeah.
is,
It's an incredible achievement, though.
though I'd like to do something, the West Highland walk, but I'd like to do that with somebody because I
Yeah.
don't know the area.
Yeah. You need to be safe.
Yeah.
James, thank you so much for chatting. It's been an absolute joy of the last hour.
Oh, thank you. I enjoyed it too this time.
Kind of getting this out there, and I hope it's something that your daughters will look back on and your family many years time. It's out there. It'll be out there on the internet. Here we are. It lives out there forever in your story. So yeah, thank you for ending our season on such a high. Yeah, it's been great.
Oh, thank you very much. I really enjoyed it.
Good. Yeah, it's been really nice. I hope you found it refreshing. Like, I think it's nice, isn't it, to think back about your life?
Yeah, it is.
You've done a
nice.
lot.
Conversing about it is nicer than holding a monologue.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean?
exactly.
So,
Thank you so much.
well, thank you.
Thanks. Thanks so much for listening to today's episode. I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, why not hit that 5-star wherever you get your podcasts and hit the subscribe button so you're the first to know when the brand new episodes are released. We've also got more content over on YouTube, TikTok and Instagram at chatter.beans. Until next time, keep chatting, keep sipping, and I'll see you soon.